Hello, AVAIYA family. I'm Andy Anderson. My partner Ike Allen and I are teachers, mentors, and the co-owners of AVAIYA University. AVAIYA is the creator of over 1,000 books, films, courses, teachings, and other supportive resources. Thank you so much for joining us. Our fellow teacher, Wendy Hernandez, is with us today to talk about reasons to put your ex's betrayal behind you during your divorce. Wendy is a Phoenix family law attorney, divorce coach, founder of the Hernandez family law firm, and creator of the Command the Courtroom. Having tried over 1,000 cases during her 23 years as a litigator, Wendy is a courtroom warrior who has tackled every type of family law matter, from divorce to child custody and everything in between, sharing secrets learned from the country's top law professors at the University of Notre Dame Law School. And during her battles on the family law front lines, Wendy is passionate about helping not only her clients, but also those representing themselves to feel competent, confident, and comfortable in the courtroom. Welcome back to AVAIYA, Wendy.
Thank you, Andy. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, so great to see you again. And I always love talking to you. You're such a wealth of information in such interesting areas that so many people need help in. So let's talk. What do you think is the biggest pitfall you see people fall into as they navigate their way through the family law court system?
Honestly, Andy, it's not figuring out what the issues are in the case. It's helping the clients navigate what they're experiencing emotionally. And my experience is it doesn't matter who files, whether you're the person who's filing for divorce or the person who's responding to the other party, there is some sort of emotion happening. Even if the divorce, should have happened years ago, you are going through emotions when you're going through a divorce. What I see people fall into is they let the emotions drive the bus. It's kind of like the tail wagging the dog. And, when you are in that survival mode, you're not thinking rationally, you're not thinking logically. And if you let the emotions guide the direction of the case, then it's just not going to end well. Things are going to be protracted. Litigation is going to be protracted. It's going to be exhausting to you. It's going to cost you a lot of money. So that's kind of a long answer, but the short answer is the biggest pitfall is letting emotions drive the bus.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And obviously something very common, I'm sure that is happening in those scenarios. And you may have just kind of touched on this, but how does this emotional activation play out as these different cases unfold?
Yeah, so it plays out in a lot of ways. And so one way that I experience a lot as an attorney is that I spend a lot of time with my clients doing counseling. Like, I'm an attorney and a counselor at law. And so there's a huge part of my job where I am counseling people on certain things. A lot of it is emotional. However, I am not a trained psychiatrist or psychologist or a therapist. I do the best I can. I've learned to manage, over the years, but I spend a lot of time with those clients who are emotionally activated, counseling them through those emotions. And just one thing I want to throw out there are people who are better suited than me or your attorney if you're going through a divorce to do that, unless your attorney is a counselor or a therapist. Mm-hmm. So what ends up happening is if I spend a lot of time with my clients on the phone, just kind of digging through the past and the emotions, that costs them a lot of money. And I'm not even working on the divorce case yet or the custody issues. We're just talking about emotions. The other thing that I see happening a lot when the emotions are driving the bus is people have difficulty making decisions. They feel overwhelmed by all the options out there. It's hard to get people to commit to taking a direction when it comes to, this is what I want out of this. This is the number I want for spousal, or this is how I want our parenting plan to look. So that takes time and also protracts litigation. Also, another thing that happens a lot is people change their minds, and people are entitled to change their mind, like minds. I tell people, listen, if something doesn't feel right to you, then, you got to let me know, because when it's too late, it's too late. It's okay to change your mind, but constant changing of the mind is just that is confusing for the attorney. You got to stay on the same page with your attorney and be communicating with what you're feeling with your attorney, but it's also confusing to the other side and could be confusing to the judge. If a judge is deciding your case and you change courses a bunch of times throughout your case, then a judge could be thinking, maybe this person doesn't have it together. Maybe they're not reasonable. Maybe they don't know what they want. So that's another pitfall. Another issue I see come up is when people let the emotions kind of lead, they get into danger of really their intention for resolving the case is one of revenge or retaliation against the other party, especially when the other parties has hurt them, and I've had a lot of clients who have been very badly hurt by their partners. They've been abused, they've both emotionally and physically and financially. They've been cheated on by their partners, maybe not just with one person, but with multiple partners they've been cheated on. So there's a lot to unpack there, but if possible, it's really best not to allow or not to set your intention with, I'm going to just get revenge. I'm going to, I want to use this court case to show him or to show her how badly he or she hurt me. That is just not productive, not helpful at all to the person in the long run, nor their family. So that's just a handful of things.
Right. Yeah. Yes. I'm sure there's more. Absolutely. And everything you just mentioned makes me think, man, that's got to get expensive when the emotions get really heightened in that. And I totally get it. Right. The changing the mind, multiple times or continuously throughout the process can, I'm sure, get very confusing and frustrating for everybody. So you mentioned, right, people being hurt, and let's dive a little bit into betrayal, since that's our topic today, right? So are there times when betrayal is actually relevant to issues that are to be decided in a family law case?
There are certain times, but overall, Andy, I think most states in the United States, and I'm sure you have listeners all over the world. I can't speak to what's happening in the justice systems all over the world, but most states in the United States of America are no-fault divorce states. So what that means is the judge is not really interested in the fact that, she cheated on me with 5 people. However, there are certain circumstances when that can come into play. For example, marital waste is a legal concept. And what marital waste means is that one of the partners has used marital monies to do activities that are not a benefit to the community. For example, if somebody's cheating and they're flying, the person that they're cheating with all over the world, or to Hawaii, or on vacations, or they're putting them up in an apartment or whatever, those funds should belong to the community, the marital community. And if they're not being used to benefit that community, that's considered waste. And there are cases where people waste, thousands, if not millions of dollars. So in situations like that, yes, absolutely. Betrayal and deception are very relevant in the courtroom, and a judge is going to want to look at that. In those types of cases, especially when we're talking, about money, I think it's always best to have somebody who's very familiar with numbers to help you get that information organized, because those are difficult cases to prove to a court. And you really need to be able to trace how the money was spent and categorize it for the judge. Marital waste cases are expensive, but they happen, and they happen a lot. So absolutely, that's one situation where it's relevant in the courtroom. However, when we're talking about child custody, for example, and say somebody's really been betrayed by their ex-partner, and in the context of a custody case, a lot of times the judge is just not going to care that your ex is a cheater. They're not, unless the ex is some sort of addict and continues to be an addict, or not the ex, the person that the ex was cheating with, say that that person is a danger to the children somehow, or that your ex-partner put your children in danger because they exposed the children to this person that has these serious issues that are just out of control. That's another instance where a court would be interested in, he or she cheated on me. But just generally, to throw it out there, judges are not very happy, because I think what judges see is you're trying to sway the judge with emotion and say this person is a bad person. And a judge is really looking at the law. And one other example I do want to mention, I know at least because I have a friend who went through a divorce in the last few years, and she is in Connecticut. And that was a situation where her ex cheated on her. And in that state or in her situation, the law provided that because she was able to prove that infidelity, that she was entitled to a slightly larger settlement amount than he was. I don't know the intricacies of it, but I know that's what happened in the case. So yes, betrayal can come in, but you should pick and choose wisely about how, you're going to throw that out there to the judge, because you don't want to anger the judge. You want to do it because the law provides for it. Does that make sense, Andy?
Absolutely, because I can imagine, right, in the justice system, it must be frustrating probably for the justice system to have lots of bickering matches and things like that where it's not really getting anywhere. So I get why yes, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Not that we don't have valid arguments or whatever, but in the world of trying to come up with some kind of settlement or, end to the chaos, then it's got to be, managed in a certain way. So yes, got it.
Exactly. Yeah. You just, you have to look at the law, and what does the law in my jurisdiction say?